Good afternoon. It's 1 p.m. here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, and this is the Ambassador. With me, your Ambassador Paul Mathenke. This is where we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics. Now, to our very first story making the headlines, President William Ruto held talks with World Intellectual Property Organization Director General Darren Tang at State House, Nairobi. The meeting underscored Kenya's commitment to strengthening its intellectual property ecosystem in alignment with global standards. This engagement highlights the country's strategic move to position intellectual property at the center of its innovation and economic development agenda. Susan Nganga reports.
President William Ruto held talks with the World Intellectual Property Organization Director General Darren Tang at State House, Nairobi. The high-level meeting reaffirmed Kenya's commitment to strengthening its intellectual property ecosystem, bringing it in line with global standards. It marks a strategic step in placing intellectual property at the heart of the nation's innovation and economic development agenda. Kenya's creative economy is undergoing rapid transformation, driven by energy, talent, and ambition of young people eager to turn ideas into income. In response, the government is currently developing a bold new intellectual property policy designed to introduce fresh tools that regulate, protect, and nurture the industry. This policy will be key in creating an enabling environment where creators, innovators, and entrepreneurs can truly thrive. To further support this vision, the government has established the State Department for Science, Research, and Innovation.
I assure you of the government's steadfast commitment to the growth and development of our higher education sector. We shall continue to design policies that transform universities into hubs of research, innovation, and excellence. And just to mention, I am seriously considering a State Department to deal specifically with research and development and innovation as a way of ensuring that we grow that space because of the tremendous opportunity that exists in innovation and in research.
Susan Nganga, GBS News, Nairobi.
Somalis in Kenya expressed disappointment at a new U.S. policy banning travel from the East African countries. Somalia is among 7 African countries whose nationals are prohibited from traveling to the U.S. effective from June 9th. Other countries are Chad, Equatorial Guinea, Congo, Sudan, Libya, and Eritrea, while not entirely banned. Travelers from Sierra Leone, Burundi, and Togo will face heightened restrictions. We had an interview with Somalis living in Kenya, and this is what they had to say.
And he's talking about like he doesn't need some people who are living it, especially he told me like there's a time he said like Muslim or Africans are like gorillas, something like that. I heard something like that. Through my face, I will tell him like Africans like they are human beings like him. And there's black Americans who live there, who works there, who are looking for better life in the United States of America. So it's not about skin, it's about humanity. It's supposed to give people the documents to work there. They need some people how to live there and to look for better life in there.
U.S. President Donald Trump tied the new ban to Sunday's terror attack in Colorado, saying it underscored the dangers posed by some visitors who overstay their visas. But the attack suspect is from Egypt, which is not on the ban list.
America is a land of opportunity. It's multicultural. It's all type of culture over there. Even that I'm Somali, I prefer being East Africa. I prefer being I don't prefer being America. I'm Africa. Even that he said Hawaiian people, they're not supposed to be in America. I feel like he being...
Muslim pilgrims have flocked to Mount Arafat in Saudi Arabia today, being the third day of the annual Hajj. The rock hill just outside the holy city of Mecca holds immense significance for Islam. It is believed to be the place where the Prophet Muhammad delivered his final sermon. Undertaking the Hajj is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, the religious obligation involving rituals and acts of worship that every Muslim must fulfill once in their lifetime, if they can afford to and are physically able. The day of Arafat is the most sacred of the Islamic calendar, when God draws near to the faithful and forgives their sins. Pilgrim Salem Haj Ahmed traveled all the way to from Yemen.
It's difficult to express the feeling. We feel the best at the holy sites, with a humble heart and faith. It's a very nice feeling for the first time. We came from Yemen. We came by land. It took 4 days and nights. This is our best day, the day of Arafat. We pray for the Arab and Muslim nations to be united.
The ambassador will take a short break. We will be right back with more as we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics.
Young people who create, influence, and inspire. So,
on an honest note, creating is hard work, and there are people who I see their work and they are constantly pushing themselves.
okay.
Like wanajipush, kujipush, like they are putting creativity up top over there.
I think no one also prepares you for the fact that the better you become.
The networking is also very good. You see, there are people who have passion for, videography, creating videos, editing. There are people passionate about that. If you are someone who talks and you meet people and you love people, you'll definitely meet someone who's just waiting to shoot you.
But also in terms of what I put out, it goes back to what are your values. What are your values, what are your beliefs? So as much as this is trending, yes, that is trending. Does it align with your values? Does it align with your beliefs?
You can be a star without the star position. Si lazima ukue hapo mbele ya watu. Si lazima wewe ndo ukue star, ndo ukue star. Hata ukiwa hapa chini, wewe bado ni star. And as she has said, discipline is a big thing.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the ambassador. Now, Zambia has been drawn into a mourning period following the passing on of former President Lungu yesterday. Her daughter Tasla made the announcement, which was later confirmed by the government. Lungu, 68, became Zambia's 60th president in 2015 and was ousted in 2021. His tenure was marked by both major infrastructural development as well as a rising debt and economic challenges. Let's take a listen.
A grim reaper has done it in Zambia. Former President Edgar Lungu died yesterday, aged 68, at a community hospital. Her daughter Tasila made the sad announcement, which the Zambian government confirmed, and declaring a period of mourning. According to Tasila, Her father collapsed while on his exercise regimen at his home in the capital Lusaka. He was rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead by the doctors upon arrival.
Fellow Zambians, it is with profound sorrow that we announce the passing of His Excellency Dr. Edgar Chagano, 6th President of the Republic of Zambia.
Lungu, a former Justice and Defense Minister whom the daughter describes as a humble, God-fearing family man, rose from humble beginnings to become Zambia's 6th president in 2015, after the former President Michael Sata died while in office. As he rose to power, political opponents were arrested and charged with trying to overthrow the government. Amongst them was Ikande Echelema, who later ousted Lungu in 2021. In 2017, Zambia's parliament suspended 28 opposition politicians for boycotting Lungu's speech. He changed the Zambian constitution, reducing presidential powers, but was later defeated when he wanted to claw back on the same.
Somebody who is determined to consolidate power at any cost, and somebody who will not tolerate any kind of criticism.
He has kept a low profile ever since he was ousted in 2021, until recently, when he re-entered politics as a key opposition figure. All said and done, critics say he ruined Zambian economy, while to some Zambians, the late Lungu oversaw major infrastructural developments in the country, including the construction of schools, roads, and airports. Meanwhile, glowing tributes continue to flow in Zambia, mourning the late president whose funeral and burial arrangement will be announced later. Victor Ambassador.
Moving on, Burundi held a legislative and local elections on Thursday, 5th of June 2025. More than 6 million registered voters cast ballots to elect members of parliament and commercial councillors. According to the National Independent Electoral Commission, 14,156 polling stations were established nationwide and abroad. These include 14,103 stations across the country and 53 stations opened in the diaspora and peacekeeping missions, serving 6,013,498 registered voters. And here are the details with Davis Karani.
Several polling stations visited early on Thursday. Long queues of voters had already formed, a sign of civil engagement, even as the country faces worsening economic conditions. The vote comes during a deepening socio-economic crisis marked by fuel shortages, soaring inflation, and scarcities in basic goods such as sugar and foreign currency. Fuel shortages were on everyone's mind. Josephine Inabigega, a native of Gitega, believes that resolving the issues must be a priority of the new leaders. Many voters expressed hope that new leaders will prioritize urgent national concerns.
Today it's fine because before we used to spend several days on the waiting line, 3 or 4 days without being served. But in less than an hour, I got to the pump.
President Everest Ndashimiye also participated by voting at a school in his home village. This election marks the beginning of a new administrative structure, with Burundi now reorganized into 5 provinces and 42 communes. As a result, the number of parliamentary seats will decrease from 123 to 103 members in the next legislative assembly. Agathon Rwasa, a prominent opposition leader, and his allies are absent from the process. Rwasa was ousted from his party's leadership, the National Congress for Freedom (CNL), and excluded from voting.
Now to a crisis that's gone largely unnoticed by the world. A new report by the Norwegian Refugee Council names Cameroon as the most neglected displacement crisis of 2024, with over 1 million people uprooted by the conflict and climate pressures. And limited aid or attention, the situation is growing more dire by the day. Here are the details.
Cameroon has been named the world's most neglected displacement crisis of 2024 by the Norwegian Refugee Council. Over 1 million people are internally displaced due to ongoing conflict in the northwest and southwest regions, while violence and climate-driven hardship in the far north continue to uproot lives. Cameroon also shelters nearly 500,000 refugees from neighboring countries like Nigeria and the Central African Republic. In general, 8 African countries made the list of the world's most neglected displacement crises, including Ethiopia in 2nd, Mali in 5th, and Democratic Republic of Congo in the 7th place. Despite the scale of the crisis, Cameroon receives little international attention. Humanitarian funding in 2024 met less than half of the country's needs, and major donors are cutting aid budgets. With few political efforts and minimal media coverage, the suffering remains largely invisible to the world. Cameroon's crisis is a stark reminder that displacement does not stop without action. Lasting solutions demand more than aid. They require conflict resolution, climate resilience, and global assessment. Until then, millions remain in limbo, caught in a crisis the world chooses to overlook. Elvin Muyodi, GBS News.
And that's all for today. With me, your Ambassador Paul Mathenke on the Ambassador 1 p.m. Follow all of our stories at GBS TV Africa. It's updated through the day. We meet every Thursday and Friday as we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics. Thank you for your time and company.
Everywhere, GBS.